condition. Once again, the Hamlin family have asked Dr. Knight and Dr. Pritz to represent the many UC Health specialists and multi-specialty teams who have cared for Damar, including our cardiologists who have been providing round-the-clock care to Damar since his arrival last Monday night. Dr. William A. Knight IV is a professor in the Department of Emergency Medicine and Neurocritical Care, University of Cincinnati College of Medicine. Dr. Knight is also the lead physician for the NFL Cincinnati team of unaffiliated neurotrauma consultants, visiting team medical liaisons, and the Emergency Medical Services Support Group, including on-field paramedics, airway management physicians, and respiratory therapists. Dr. Timothy Pritz is a trauma surgeon and serves as a professor in the Department of Surgery at the University of Cincinnati College of Medicine and Division Chief of General Surgery. I will pass this over to the physicians to share an update on Damar's medical condition. After the update, we'll have about 10 minutes for Q&A with the media. And when you ask questions, I kindly ask that you state your name and organization before you pose your question. Thank you. And Dr. Knight.
Thanks, Kristen. We shared last time that we were with you that our ultimate goal was to get Damar back home to his amazing family and the broader Buffalo family. Well, Dr. Pritz and I are thrilled and proud on behalf of UC to report to you that Damar Hamlin has been released and returned to Buffalo. I traveled with him to the airport this morning with our UC Health Air Care and Mobile Care crew, including teammates who were with us on the field when Damar Hamlin collapsed. He landed safely and is as standard as anybody who has gone through what he's gone through this past week. And certainly after flying on a plane, he is going to be observed and monitored to ensure that there's no impact on the flight of his condition or on his lungs. Dr. Pritz and I have spoken extensively with his care team in Buffalo, and I can confirm that he is doing well, and this is the beginning of the next stage of his recovery. As Kristen noted, Tim and I are representing the many, many individuals and teams who have cared for Damar over the past week. This includes our EMS, our emergency medicine, trauma surgery, cardiology, critical care, neurocritical care, all of our amazing nurses, respiratory therapists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, pharmacists, you name it. I could keep going. There are many, many people that had a hand in Damar's successful recovery to this point. And as a team, our collective focus from day one has been keeping Damar at the center to ensure a good outcome for him. Since our last update to you, Damar Hamlin has met a number of key milestones on his journey to recovery. I believe when Dr. Pritz and I last met, Damar was still intubated and on a ventilator. Obviously, since then, he has been extubated and has gone through a weaning of his oxygen. He has been up with physical therapy and occupational therapy, walking the unit, tolerating a regular diet, meeting with his family and many members of the care team that wanted to see how he was doing, all to get him to this point that he could be safely returned to Buffalo. And so at this point, I think that we're comfortable.
This meeting is being recorded.
Anything that anybody may have at this point. Thank you all for your well wishes, not only for Damar, but also for our team here at UC. It truly hasn't been felt.
Hi, Catherine Fitzgerald from the Buffalo News. Thank you guys so much for the update. I wasn't expecting so much good news so soon, so my questions are a little different now, but I was wondering if you could talk a bit more about the next steps for Damar Hamlin at this point. You know, what he still do and what that outpatient will look like. Thank you.
Certainly, a great question, and neither are we, to be candid. We continue to be ecstatic about his recovery. And as Bill mentioned, when we started all this, you know, what we told his parents is the only thing that mattered was the patient in the bed, getting back to him and his family, and to his community. So we anticipate that he will undergo, you know, an ongoing series of tests and evaluations to determine the etiology of causing the incident on Monday night, and to treat any pathology that may be found.
And just one follow-up, with that ongoing testing, what does that timeline look like? And is there anything that you're able to rule out at this point to the cause, or is it still too early on that?
I think it's still fairly premature to comment on that, and the further timeline will be determined by him, most importantly, but also by the experts in the hospital where he is now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Hey, there we are. My name is Liz Bonus. I'm with KRCTV here in Cincinnati. So glad to be able to share your work and the latest update. So will he go to another rehab facilities or step down facility that he will be followed in now? And also I wondered, did you ever have to cool down his body when you brought him in? Is that one of the reasons, one of the things that you credit to him doing so well right now?
I can't speak exactly to where he is right now. He has been transferred to another hospital. In terms of those next steps, again, we're going to defer to the very capable and excellent hands that he's in. As for the question, you refer to what we call targeted temperature management, and the answer is yes. Damar was placed on our targeted temperature management protocol, and he managed it in that by our critical care team. For most of the duration, really up until the point that he got extubated, was the point that we had him under fairly aggressive temperature management.
And then last thing, do you see him back on the field this lifetime? Do you see limitations to his future?
So I think we're in the same place that we were in the last discussion. Is that it is entirely too premature to discuss not only his football, it's that we're really focused on his day-to-day recovery. He still has a little bit of a ways to go in terms of his ongoing recovery. We're thrilled to where he is today. He's up, he's walking around. He's got an amazing, genuine sense of humor. And his family is amazing, and we're happy he's with them. But in terms of any kind of conjecture to his future, that's still significantly into the future, and it's going to be up to Damar and a great team of physicians to help him.
What do you mean when you say still has a ways to go?
Just ongoing recovery, and I mean, he just got extubated 3 days ago, so he's still got some recovery to do.
All right, great. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Liz.
Hi, everyone. Coley Harvey from ESPN. Echoing so many sentiments, definitely did not realize this was the news that we would get today. So your staff should feel very good about your work. You said that he was walking around the unit. When exactly did he begin walking?
Yeah, I think he walked his first lap on Friday.
On Friday, wow.
Yeah, breathing tube came out, just to clarify the timeline a little bit. The breathing tube came out early Friday morning. And he's continued to make good progress since, but worked with physical therapy and had assisted walks with the nursing staff on Friday, continuing to regain strength. He's certainly on what we consider a very normal to even accelerated trajectory from the life-threatening event that he underwent, but is making great progress.
You just said accelerated to normal. What does accelerated look like in terms of that trajectory? I mean,
that's a great question. Anything to the one side of normal. Normal, as we would expect, a normal recovery from something like this is going to be measured in weeks to months. He's been a little bit ahead of that at each stage.
And actually, one more for me. What does that recovery process look like next? What are we looking at him needing to do specifically next?
The goal for every patient who suffered a serious illness or injury is to help them to return as close to baseline as possible. So we anticipate that he would have likely ongoing needs, whether it is therapy or at working with different specialists to get him as close to where he really can be. But again, to echo what we talked about on Thursday, he appears to be neurologically completely intact. And there's no reason to believe that he won't continue his path to recovery.
Thank you guys so much.
Doctor.
I think we're getting some feedback from you, sir.
Gentlemen, first and foremost, I would like to say awesome job that you two and your medical staff has done up there in the University of Cincinnati. I'm here, Waffle 1080 from Buffalo, and everyone from Buffalo, for me, would thank you guys a great deal on such a remarkable recovery as far as Damar. Now, as far as, going back to Monday, him not breathing, do you think there was any type of cervical spine injuries to the C1, the C5? And is he's walking? How is his walking? Is he walking normal? Or is that part of his rehab process?
We can speak. He did not have any cervical spine injury. His walking, in terms of, there's two ways to look at that. One, he's neurologically intact, so he has a normal gait. He walks normally. He is admittedly a little weak. I don't think that's of any real surprise after what he went through, just regaining his strength, and that's part of his recovery process.
Okay, guys. God bless you, man, and appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Doctors, hi, this is John Barr with ESPN. I just want to try to color in a little more detail if we could, because the last official word we heard from the hospital was that Damar was in the intensive care unit. Was he in the ICU up to the moment of his release, or did he transition to somewhere else? And I understand the progress that he made on Friday. You did a great job of explaining that. I'm just wondering what you saw in the last 24 hours or so that led you, like what had to happen in order for you to be comfortable releasing him, I guess is the better.
That's a great question. And to answer the first part of that, yes, he was in our surgical intensive care unit until transfer. From our standpoint, we wanted him to reach the criteria that allowed us to upgrade his condition from critical to either fair or good. And when he was able to meet those criteria this morning, we felt that it was safe and proper to help get him back to the greater Buffalo area.
Can you give us some idea as to what those criteria are?
In general, we want to ensure that each organ system is stable to improving, and that he needs a minimum amount of assistance such that he does not need intensive nursing. And we have some awesome rock star nurses who've been with him from the beginning. But he no longer needs that level of nursing care, no longer needs intensive respiratory therapy from our respiratory care practitioners, and is able to then move to a setting where he would be have less intensive care.
One more, if I could indulge you. So you didn't speak to where he is, but could he go home? Like, would you be comfortable if he were home?
I think our goal for every patient is that they get home. Somewhat, we've dealt with circumstances before where we're repatriating patients to their home areas. And from our standpoint, the best way to do that is to arrange the next steps in his recovery at a local hospital, where he'll then, see the experts there, start to obtain his medical care from them, and then make a transition back to home.
Gotcha. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
This is Tom Puckett from WBEN Radio in Buffalo. Doctors, what are the steps that you took to ensure that Damar Hamlin's flight to Buffalo, he could actually take that flight to go home to Buffalo? And what are the preparations for physical therapy now that he's out of the hospital? And maybe this is premature, but a timetable for a possible return to the field?
So we worked pretty seamlessly with his care team in Buffalo, both the Bills and his healthcare team, largely not only just to arrange the medical transport, but then with our team here, our surgical intensivists and our trauma team, to do exactly what Tim just described about making sure that he was ready and appropriate to make that next step. As it pertains to the next phase of therapy, as we're not going to be involved in that, I'm hesitant to comment on what other physicians and care teams are going to be doing. He's in great hands, and that is, they're going to be helping to create that plan of what his next steps in the recovery will be.
Just to clarify, he is home in Buffalo. He's not been transferred to another hospital.
He's been transferred to another hospital.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hey, hello, doctors. Alex Brasky with the Batavia Daily News here in Western New York. Thanks for all you've done. Now, were you able to watch the game on Sunday? Do you have any reaction to the reaction from the fans and just the overall league this week in support of Damar and just the steps taken to honor him?
Yes. No, that's a great question. So, we have permission from him and his family to let you know that he did watch the game on Sunday. He was beyond excited and feels very supported by the outpouring of love from across the league, and especially from the Buffalo area. We've learned this week that the Bills Mafia is a very real thing, and we all feel the love from you all in Western New York. But he watched the game on yesterday. When the opening kickoff was run back, he jumped up and down, got out of his chair, set, I think, every alarm off in the ICU in the process. But he was fine. It was just appropriate reaction to very exciting play. So he very much enjoyed it and enjoys the support from everyone.
All right, and just moving forward, I know people have asked about the steps in his recovery, but is there any sense you can give us as far as how far away he is to returning to normal life?
I think it's too premature to speculate with that. He's making great progress. Again, his brain, and neurological function is really normal. And so, right now it's just a young man recovering from a very serious illness. And we think that he will, recover well from this, and he has a great positive attitude. He, originally asked, who had, won. And, his answer now to that is that we all won out of this. He's won as a patient. Hopefully everybody will go out and get trained in CPR so that you too can save a life someday. And out of all that, everybody can win. And so we really agree with his sentiment that we all won from this.
Thank you so much. We're going to have one more question. And then
Thank you so much for your service. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
One more question.
Hi, doctors. This is Jesse Kirsch. Hi, doctors. This is Jesse Kirsch, NBC Network News. Thank you for briefing and just to echo everything what you and your entire team has done throughout the last several days. I know you said we're a long way off from you and Damar being able to consider if he'll ever be playing again or in the near term or in the long term. But can you give us an idea? Obviously, you said he's in another hospital right now. So the answer today would be no. But the Bills still have games left in the postseason. I know that Damar has tweeted about wishing he could have been out there on the field with his teammates yesterday, whether it's on the field on the sideline in a box in case the weather was too intense for his body right now. Is there any possibility that in the weeks ahead he could be healthy enough to be in attendance at a game to salute his teammates and the fans? Is that something we could conceivably see, or is he pretty much going to have to stay at home inside for the next few months?
I think we're going to defer that to his care team in Buffalo to assess the availability of such a next step. I mean, obviously, it's something that we would all love to be able to see, but again, still likely premature to comment on even today. And honestly, he's in a different care team now in their hands. And so we're going to defer to them to some of those next decisions about the ability to be with his teammates and cheer them on. I think that would be the best thing to do.
Thank you very, very much for the questions that you've posed today. We are really grateful. Before we close, Dr. Knight, Dr. Pritz, is there anything else that you would like to say or comment on before we close today?
Just again to say that we are mostly grateful for how well Damar has done. He has an amazing family, and they've been with him at his side, and members of the Buffalo Bills organization have been with him as well since this all happened. Again, we have felt support from everybody, and people keep asking what they can do. Learn CPR, support public access to defibrillators, so that if people are presented with similar circumstances, they can have an outcome ideally as good as he has had under these circumstances. And, if you want to work locally and thank the people at your local medical centers, the hardworking folks who do this every day. It's a little bit unusual for everybody who's been involved with this to be recognized, but we certainly appreciate it. And I can tell you that the nurses, the respiratory therapists, the pharmacists, the medics, everybody here takes great pride in the work that we do every day. And so, thank them and continue to encourage what they do, and then, if you have the opportunity to support the generation of new science and new research that can really move things forward. Because if you look back at it 20 years ago, public defibrillation and CPR was not necessarily a common thing. And so we have a local saying here that in science lives hope. And so really it's that next generation of science that will continue to move medical care forward. Thank you.
Dr. Knight, anything?
All I can say is that we had the right people in the right place at the right time for Damar, and to echo on what Tim said, by training in good quality CPR and having that ability to bring this same type of outcome, we wouldn't necessarily call this miraculous. Is it remarkable? Absolutely. But this was a textbook resuscitation on behalf of our team that allowed Damar to have an expected outcome when one has immediate bystander CPR and defibrillation. And so we can't credit the team approach. We can't credit the Bills enough, Damar's family, to really be able to celebrate what is probably the most awesome discharge from our hospital that we've had in a long time.
Great. Thank you so much. Again, we are so thrilled that Damar is back in Buffalo to continue his recovery. A big, huge thank you to the Hamlin family, the Buffalo Bills, for their amazing partnership with us, to all the first responders on field, the healthcare teams, the transporters, and our extensive care teams. And most importantly, to Damar for inspiring all of us. As the Bill said on Friday, the amount of faith, hope, and love that we have seen over this past week has been unbelievable and amazing. We also want to thank you, the media, for your respect of the family and their privacy, and so thoughtfully handling this situation with us and everyone involved. And I guess we'll close by saying, Damar said it best. We all won. Thank you.